Personal log, Ambassador Spock. Stardate 57931.6. I will soon rendezvous with the USS Resolute for a mission of the utmost importance.
We'll be ready.
Engage.
Okay. Sprich mit Mitgliedern aller Fraktionen. Ja, die Hotari, da werde ich wohl Infos kriegen, denke ich mal, nach der Aussage. Von den anderen nicht. Du stehst ja so schön allein. Und hast keinen Bedarf an Reden. Okay. Und du? Sidron.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elidians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
To be clear, I'm not on either side of this conflict. Our only interest is peace.
I will keep that in mind.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Elidians.
Not seized, reclaimed, and restored to their rightful owners. Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Elidians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
Hatten Sie Unterstützung?
Did you have help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Elidian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Elidians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
Wissenschaftsschiff.
It wasn't designed as a warship. More for scientific research and exploration.
But the Federation must have ships designed for war.
Technically, they're Starfleet ships representing the Federation. But yes.
I see.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Ja, mal sehen. Was ist das? Wasser. Bewundern.
Soothing.
Okay, wer bist denn du? Tylas.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
If anyone deserves thanks, it's Ambassador Spock. No one is more invested in negotiating a peaceful settlement to this conflict than he is.
I'm so glad. We need his help before the situation escalates further than it already has. It's been very trying.
Oh ja.
I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
Sie wollen keinen Frieden?
I take it they're against a negotiated peace with the Elidians.
Heroes tend to want more of what made them heroic. If it were up to them, they'd wage all-out war and bring ruin upon us all. My fear has been that the Elidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to, but it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth, like they're afraid of what might happen.
Do you think it has something to do with the ion storm? Right now, it's stronger than ever, isn't it?
It's entirely possible. I'm not a scientist, but I do know the storm has knocked out all kinds of systems. So maybe the Illydians weren't willing to risk their ships, given all the interference.
Ist zumindest eine valide Option. Also,
Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
What do you think it is?
I've heard rumors it's some sort of ancient artifact, but I haven't seen it myself.
How can we know?
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Thank you. I will let you know what I find. And I look forward to our meeting again.
Riskant.
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
Sehr gern
I'm
sogar.
probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illydian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
We are and will remain completely neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution to this conflict.
As is ours. Of course, the question is, at what price? Major Salit Arminta, Special Attaché, Illydian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity. Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Was ist wirklich passiert?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
Das erklärt einiges.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
Hilfe von außen irgendwie.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Ach, mit mehr Leuten kann ich jetzt nicht quatschen? Das ist schade. Ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob ich zurück muss. Ah. 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 Dann will ich mir das da oben noch angucken. Okay, ich kann mir das anzeigen lassen. Die Punkte, mit denen ich interagieren kann. Das ist fein. Mhm. Ein Banner.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
Das ist richtig. Da kann ich nicht durch. Also kann ich nur zurück. Na gut. Ich hoffe, ich habe genug Infos sammeln können. Ich kann mir das angucken. Landschaft.
Such rough terrain. No wonder the Hotari are so tough.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Illidians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
Ich hoffe, Sie auch.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
Fehlgeschlagen.
It is evident that presently the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
The storm didn't stop us from leaving space dock and traveling here. But could it still be causing this interference with warp travel?
We must follow sound investigatory principles. Do not let an assumed conclusion drive your analysis.
Sometimes we need a little inspired thinking, Mr. Chovak. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clear picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Wissensmethode. Jetzt muss ich aber nicht wirklich fliegen, oder? Sonst gibt es vielleicht Lackschäden.
I'm setting up a waypoint at a distance roughly corresponding to the edge of our warp field. When we get there, I'll deploy the first probe.
Okay, oh, Fliegen des Shuttles bis zu diesem Punkt, um eine Mission zu erfüllen. Ja, klar. R2 vorwärts, L2 rückwärts ist klar. R um umzudrehen, okay. L um zu schießen. Gut. Der Sturm drückt deine Shuttle zur Seite. Behalte deinen Kurs bei. Steht da schießen oder schieben? Das werde ich testen müssen. Okay. Ah ja, schieben. Okay.
Commander Westbrook, the Resolute systems are calibrated to receive the probe's readings. We are standing by to reproduce the warp field collapse after the first probe is deployed.
Thank you, Mr. Chovak. We'll be in position shortly.
And, Mr. Diaz, do take care in piloting the shuttlecraft. Now is not the time to indulge in the human penchant for joyriding.
Mhm.
Chovak probably isn't such a fun guy to work for, huh?
Ja, kann mich nicht leiden.
I always seem to find a way to push his buttons. Yeah, I think he'd blast me out of the airlock if he thought it would help increase engine efficiency by 0.1%.
Well, don't worry about it. Chovak's opinion isn't the only one that matters. Last time I checked, I was still Chief Science Officer, and you made a hell of an impression on Ambassador Spock. I'm the one who should be worried with this new first officer on board.
Ja, bis jetzt ist noch ganz angenehm.
This is far enough. Transporting the first probe into position.
Sonde ausgesetzt.
Westbrook here. The first probe is deployed.
Understood. We are reading it. We are about to replay the simulation.
Problem?
Don't get me wrong. Things are definitely trending up with Commander Rydek. She's put my ideas into action. And she listened to me when your life was on the line out on the hull.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is. But I'm still trying to figure out if she's right for the job. She didn't go through what the rest of us did. Still got chosen to be #1. Can't tell if she was actually siding with me, or if we just fell on the same side.
Yeah, but she's lucky she didn't go through what we did. You can't hold it against her.
Actually, I think I can, even if I shouldn't.
Test is running. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1, mark.
Wow.
Whoa. All right, that is definitely a problem with the fabric of space. We need to get another probe out there.
Okay. Das war wild.
With 2 points of data, the Resolute and the probe, we've managed to get an interference pattern. I'm setting a waypoint to a particularly strong area of interference. We'll deploy the second probe there.
Ah.
Listen, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice I wish someone had given me. Make sure you're never just one thing. And don't get so focused on what's in front of your face that you lose sight of the big picture. Before Rydek showed up,
Es wird schon
the captain
schwieriger.
pulled me into his ready room and told me he didn't think I had the people skills to be first officer. What a load of crap. I mean, if he'd said that about Chovak, sure.
I appreciate the advice, Commander. I'll make sure I keep my options open.
I don't need to tell you how to operate. You're already well on your way. You're a capable engineer. You're good in the field. Keep up the good work, and who knows? A solid jack of all departments like you could be Commander-in-Chief of Starfleet one day. Hell, Admiral Jellicoe started as a shuttle pilot. And there are places to go in the enlisted ranks, too.
You know, I'd be the best leader Starfleet ever had. Lower decks always have to fix all the problems Command causes. Maybe I'd just save everybody some steps.
Well, don't forget about us little people when you're running things.
Of course not. You gotta remember where you came from.
Das ist richtig. Ah, offensichtlich bin ich durch das Getümmel. Das habe ich irgendwie hingekriegt. Ah ne, das ist alles noch Getümmel. Aber das sieht entspannter aus. Oh, ich habe echt viel Gegendruck.
Here, This is close enough. Stop the engines. Deploying the probe.
Ausgesetzt.
Westbrook to Commander Chovak. We're ready for another sampling of data.
Very good. Running the simulation again. Warp field collapse in 3, 2, 1. Mark.
Wow.
There it is again.
I saw it. It seems to be directional.
Well, what about the scans? Anything?
Here's the readings in relation to our local space. We've got the Resolute, Otari Prime, and the probes.
All this interference is overloading the sensor buffers. We're gonna have to triangulate the sensors manually.
Oh, okay. Fadenkreuz bewegen. Was ist das? Ja, ich muss einfach nur scannen. Scannen. Ich kann halt nicht sonderlich viel machen. Nur das hier.
We got something.
These markers indicate peaks in the gravimetric interference patterns.
Let's see if I can find some more.
Okay. Ah, es ist immer zentral zu diesen Wellenmustern. Wo haben wir noch mehr davon? Hier. Beziehungsweise hier. Und da.
Hold up. This is coming from the moon.
A beam that blocks warp travel.
Aimed right at us.
Someone is doing this intentionally. I don't know how they're doing it. This is like nothing I've ever seen.
Geht es um einen Angriff?
We're under attack and we didn't even know it. We need to stop them. Unplug whatever it is they're hitting us with.
Now, look here. It's current readings of the ion storm.
These concentrations. They line up with the interference pattern. The storm. And this beam. They're coming from the same place.
Carter, whatever petty local conflict brought us here, it's just a small part of something much bigger. Presently, we don't have an explanation for how they're doing this. But one thing is clear. This is no fluke.
Thank you, Mr. Westbrook. I want a full briefing when I'm back on board. Solano out. A targeted weapon that inhibits warp travel. Coming from the moon Tau.
That would explain the difficulties my shuttle encountered. More importantly, the tenor of the Hotari during the negotiations.
And here I thought the Elydians would be the problem. Coming to peace talks in a warship. This wasn't supposed to be so complicated.
I don't know why the Hotari wanted us here, but it wasn't to negotiate.
Clearly, peace is not their intention.
Then what is? Why go through this charade?
Tylus, the Hotari representative, said she thought they found something in the mines. Galvin and Sidron brought it back to the palace, but they're keeping it under tight security. She's going to investigate it. I gave her my tricorder. I expect she'll contact us soon.
You found an ally.
Why would Tylus help us? Go behind her people's back? It's a fair question, considering.
Out of all of them, she's the one who seemed to genuinely appreciate that the Federation was involved. She believes in us, and I think we can believe in her.
That may be true.
She's certainly more likely to help than the other Hotari we've met.
That raises another question. Specifically, what do the other Hotari have to gain in bringing us here, only to make this hostile maneuver against us? There must be some motivation.
Unless they changed their minds between when they asked and when we got here.
Sidron was very curious when we spoke outside the Queen's chamber. He wanted to know all about us, our ship, the Federation. He wasn't giving any answers. He was looking for them.
Well, I'm sure you didn't tell him too much. I don't think the Elydians know what's really down on that moon either.
Major Armintas said the revolt defied explanation. That the Hotari miners somehow harnessed the energy of the storm.
Harness the energy of the storm?
Doing that is beyond even our capabilities.
So is a weapon that disrupts warp travel.
There have been civilizations and entities, both past and present, far more technologically advanced than the Federation.
The Elydians and Hotari don't fall into that category.
But that is all the more reason to investigate further.
Commander Rydek, sorry to interrupt. We've received an urgent call from Hotari. The Queen's advisor, Tylus, has asked to speak with you.
Put her through.
Perfekt.
Galvin and Sidron are still with the Queen. I've enlisted help to gain access to the room they have under guard. I don't have much time.
I'm not supposed to leave my post.
It's only for a moment. I so appreciate your help.
Riskant.
I found something. I'm sending you a scan.
Got it. Tylus, if we needed to gain access to the mines on Tau, is that something you could help us with?
I suppose it wouldn't be easy, but I have to go.
Tylus.
Can we reconnect?
Okay. Ich glaube nicht.
Sorry, Captain. We've lost all contact.
We can only hope she escaped without harm.
It was hard to tell.
Ich habe ja diesen Schlamassel eingebrockt. Wir müssen ihr helfen.
We have to help her. Send another shuttle.
We're not
maybe...
doing anything yet. Not until we know more. Let's see the scan of whatever the hell that was.
Tylus suspects this came from the mines on Tau.
Mm-hmm.
It appears to be of ancient origin, but the markings are unfamiliar.
We can run a full analysis when we get back to the Resolute. But if this came from the mines, then it might be the key to how they got the upper hand against the Elydians.
Sieht doch aus wie eine Konsole.
The Federation would not allow that. We were, after all, sent here to be a neutral party in a peace negotiation. However, we could demonstrate that the Hotari have acted in bad faith, which would enable us to investigate the mines on Tau with full justification. But of course, we would need conclusive proof before taking action. Otherwise, it could put us in a difficult position.
Whatever this artifact is may be proof enough. At least to satisfy the Federation.
Especially if we can show the Hotari are controlling the warp disruption. And targeting the Resolute.
We may have a better understanding once we analyze the device. But a mission to the mines, covert or otherwise, is not out of the question. And I will handle the Federation.
I need you to do the right thing. The fate of the negotiations, the interests of the Federation, and the prospect for peace may very well depend